All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Don't Sleep on the Eagles. It's your boy Kash. I'm one half of the Don't Sleep on a Couch podcast, but this is a Don't Sleep on the Eagles for this week. So before I even begin, this foundation of this podcast is just a fanfare type of thing. This is just a fan just speaking his truth week to week. You know, every now and then I may bring on a friend or two just to chop it up with the teams that we're playing. So this week, week 5, we got the Carolina Panthers at 3-1. Are they for real? Are they not? Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the future. Should we be worried about it at 1-3? We have everything to worry about at 1-3, people. You know what I mean? But before we even begin, I want you to subscribe to Don't Sleep on the Eagles, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. Go subscribe to it. Follow us at Don't Sleep_net. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my special guest, King James.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, no problem, man, no problem. So this week, man, I've been watching some film of your team, man, and not too bad, man. It's 3-1 right now for you, feeling like a good thing. Like, are you feeling confident in where you guys sit in the NFC South?
In the South, absolutely, man. You know, like Tampa coming off the Super Bowl hangover. You know, I don't think that a lot of people want to pencil them as like being like the class of the division. I don't really think that's the case. The Saints are still trying to find themselves, and like the Falcons are in rebuild mode. So in our division, we're actually in a pretty good spot, I think, man. Okay.
So with that said, how are you feeling about Sam Darnold's play so far in the season? Are you encouraged by it, or what's your thought process on how he's playing?
So I can't say that I'm encouraged by his play. He has been playing decent, you know, but a lot of the things that I see that I'm looking for, because at the skill position, I think, you know, we have one of the best skill units in the league. You know, like DJ Moore, he's not a household name, but I'm telling y'all, he's a top 10 receiver. You know, him and Justin Jefferson are probably the two best young receivers in the league right now. And Robbie Anderson, one of the best deep threats in the game. Christian McCaffrey, for my money, is the best running back in the game. So I think he should be doing a lot better. His stats is kind of misleading. The thing with him, you know, turnovers, taking what the defense gives you, and we got to stop these 3 and outs so we can get our defense a breather, get them off the field.
So one thing I'm worried about playing you guys, as I've watched your first 4 games of the season, is really the defense. You guys have done an excellent job drafting just all 3 layers, not really focusing on one. And you guys have elite level talent at all 3 layers. But right now, that secondary is something that I feel like we can expose as the Eagles, as we're starting to get hot. I mean, we had that one game with San Francisco where it's San Fran. They have a really great defense as well and some veterans on that team. So I knew we was going to have trouble on that. But the rest of the teams we played, even in losses, we've had success through the air. How do you feel with your secondary kind of being down and injured this week going into the game?
So the secondary, I know a lot of cats are picking on C.J. Henderson, the corner that we picked up from Jacksonville. But on that play that he got mossed by Amari, it was just a perfect throw and a perfect catch. He's in position. So I'm actually excited about, you know, his development of what he can do. Jeremy Chin at safety, you know, kind of like that hybrid safety linebacker, you know, he's solid. Dante Jackson, you know, would be the one that I'm worried about, because he looks to peak in the backfield, you know, and Jalen Hurts, him being a dual threat, he can take off. We can't have Dante Jackson looking into the backfield and, you know, forgetting his assignment and letting people get behind him. He's so fast, he thinks he can catch up with everybody, so he developed a lot of bad habits. So there are definitely plays to be made, but I actually think they played pretty well, you know, against the Cowboys. So I'm actually not down on them at all.
But I would kind of want to take it to just the defensive side of the Eagles. I mean, we've allowed 83 points in the last 2 games, over 900 yards. And it seems like we have a bend don't break type of defense, which when you have a elite offense or offense that can put points on the board, you kind of live with that. You kind of live with that type of thing. But in all actuality, that's not something I want to live with long term. And it just seems like week to week, Coach Gannon isn't necessarily doing the proper things that we need to survive as a defense. Like, we have playmakers on defense. You know what I mean? We just signed our man Josh Sweat to a really big contract, which he deserves. And we got Hargraves, who has 4 or 5 sacks through the first 4 games, who is an absolute animal. So those have been the highlights in our defense. And, big play Slay hasn't really given up anything all year. It's just people are exposing the other side of the field, and rightfully so. How do you feel going into this game offensively based on what you guys have done so far up until week 5?
So the guy that I'm looking forward to seeing Sunday, hopefully, I don't want Christian McCaffrey to play. I really want Christian McCaffrey to just sit out, get healthy, because we're going to need him. It's still Christian McCaffrey's team. But Chuba Hubbard, man, our rookie running back, he's
been playing really good.
Yeah, he had a game against Dallas. His issue. Yeah, he just didn't get enough touches, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do, in an increased capacity. And also, I think he can kind of be like that safety valve, for Sam Darnold, getting some quick checkdowns and stuff. Because the tight end position, man, Ian Thomas, he ain't it, And I think Tommy Tremble is still a little bit raw. He's going to understand about, sitting inside zones and not running to defenders. But I really feel like Chuba Hubbard can be that safety valve. And I also feel like, Robbie Anderson's kind of had a slow start to the season. I think this is his get right game. I'm looking for Robbie Anderson to have a huge game this Sunday.
So speaking of Sam Darnold, he had 2 rushing touchdowns and looked pretty smooth doing it, man. But you told me before we got on, you're not a big believer. Are you like me with Jalen Hurts, where you waiting to see before you jump on the bandwagon? You got to show and prove. I mean, but he looks smooth out there so far. I mean, that Dallas game was a stumble with the 2 interceptions. Where that kid on Dallas Diggs, he's playing phenomenal, man. I hate to say it, but I got to call a spade a spade. He's probably playing like the best corner in football so far through this first quarter of the season, as far as just the productivity and the takeaways. So how do you feel with Sam Darnold and just being able to move the way he's moving? I didn't see that out of Sam Darnold prior to, coming in from the Jets.
So, I'm a sports bettor too, like a novice sports bettor. And the lesson that you have to learn is to not be results oriented, And I think with Sam Darnold, these rushing touchdowns is just a product of that's not in his film. Like, when you scout Sam Darnold, you're not like, hey, man, we got to contain him, So it's a cute wrinkle, but it's not something that we can rely on.
It's cute.
Like, yeah, you're not going to be, quarterback sneaking Darnold or have a bunch of read option plays with Sam Darnold, because the turnover potential is just too high. He has looked good. I'm definitely not trying to say that he's played bad. It's just that my thing is, I see a lot of times, like, he'll have Christian McCaffrey on a free release in the flat, and he's one-on-one with a DN or a linebacker. And instead of giving him the ball quick so he doesn't have to break his momentum, he waits. And now the defender can catch up, take the superior angle, and pursuit catches up with Christian McCaffrey. He just has to make better decisions, man. In the Dallas game, there was a ball that he forced to Robbie Anderson that should have been picked, that was dropped, and then he came back to the well to end up getting picked, and on that same play, he looked off Hubbard in the flat. He's wide open. Take those checkdowns, get 2 or 3 yards so we can stay on schedule in the down and distance, and we're not constantly in, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, because the way our offensive line is set up, if the defense knows that we're in throwing down and distance, we're going to fail. Like, DJ Moore is amazing. He always gets open. Robbie Anderson, like I said, one of the best deep threats in the game, but that takes time, and our offensive line can't give it to him. So he has to be smarter with the football and connect on those deep throws, man. He left 2 touchdowns on the field. Like, he had Robbie Anderson wide open behind the defense and just overthrew him. You got to connect on those, because if you connect on those, we could have won that game. we had a fumble come off the board, which is one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life, and they scored a touchdown on that possession. So, they kind of ran away with it in the third quarter, but in my eyes, that game is a lot closer than people are giving us credit for. So Sam Darnold just has to, play a little bit better, be more economical with the ball and just get it to the open man. I felt like he probably had somebody in his ear saying, hey, we got to get Robbie Anderson involved. Nah, players get themselves involved. If he wants to get involved, he'll get open, And like I said, he did miss him twice, but such is life. I'm not going to force you the ball when somebody else is more open than you. So just, hey, man, you really have to be safe with the ball. That's what we got him for. We wanted him to be, hey, we can rely on you to not have 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions, because if he's doing that, then we might as well start PJ Morton.
Right. And you and I both know, with that time to throw the deep ball in the offensive line, and the game is always won in the trenches. Like, that's not the sexy part of the game. That's not the guys that get talked about a lot, maybe probably more so on the defensive line. You'll hear more highlight reels or just guys about as far as rushing the passer, but you'll never hear guys heralded for their play on the offensive line. But if we have an advantage, and to me, this game will be a toss-up because I'm not sure if that 3-1 record is a product of just jumping on teams early and being a lot better and them not having film on you guys, or whether you guys are actually that good. So I'm, at 1-3, I'm talking from a place that I probably shouldn't be talking from, but there's always ways to win a game, and you have to find those areas. And I think the offensive line is one of the things that we can attack, that if nothing else, I can hang my hat on that we've done all year, is get to the quarterback, is disrupt timing. And what I saw last week is the timing being disrupted by Darnold and him throwing 2 picks. And I think we got to capitalize on that, because if we allow Moore and Anderson to get behind us, it's curtains. It's curtains, especially if it's one side of the field. Maybe not so on Darius Slay, but on the other side of the field with Nelson, I got to say, it's cookies all day long. And then across the field, we just let people run through the zone. We let them get chunk yards. So we can't even give them that amount of time. So we have to be exotic in the way we blitz, in the way we pressure. But by all means, we have to get home on that offensive line. So can you speak a little bit to some of the things that you guys think or you think the Panthers should do in regards to him being pressured?
Man, the offensive line is a mess. I told people before the season, it's like you said, the game is won in the trenches. And, I'll salute our owner, David Tepper. He'll spend money, like we go out and get pieces, but we neglect the 2 most important positions. We neglect left tackle and we neglect quarterback, like we spent $60 million on Teddy Bridgewater. This year, Sam Darnold is cheap. I think it's less than $1 million. But wow. Next season, if we don't trade him next season, we're going to be paying him $18 million. You see what I'm saying? So, and then when you look at our left tackle, Cam Irving, like he was trash when he was with the Giants. He's been bad everywhere he's gone. So it's like I don't understand the rationale of like, okay, let's spend premium dollars on these other positions, and then the positions to protect those guys, we're going to go to the dollar store. It doesn't make sense. So our offensive line is not going to hold up against anybody that's halfway decent. So I think, we got to use more 2 tight end sets. Honestly, I would like to see split back in the backfield. Definitely when McCaffrey is back, I would like to see him and Hubbard in the backfield at the same time, because some of that pressure, they can take it off. And also just having those guys in the backfield, you got to respect that. Like if you see Christian McCaffrey split as a defensive end, you just can't fire off. You got to maintain your contain. If you're a DB on that side, you got to do the same thing. Linebackers, so we have to give our offensive line help in non-traditional ways and give these defenses, some different looks. So they have to think about some things, because just man on man, like trying to hold up, it's not going to happen. We got one of the worst offensive lines in the league. So I definitely think y'all can have some success in that area.
On the flip side, I'm kind of worried on the offensive line. Typically, I wouldn't be. But just like last year, we're starting to experience a lot of injuries. I think we'll probably have 1, maybe 2 starters. It just depends. I think Lane Johnson is still out. listed for personal reason. So I don't know what that is. So it's like a lot of different things going on the offensive line. However, we had success, but I'm not too hype about it because it was the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have been giving up ass. I mean, all year long. They be giving it up. And, that kind of leads to my next point that I'll make, and I'll toss it to you after I make my point about the offensive line and signing Gilmore. You guys signed Gilmore this past week. So, we can get there on every level, you know what I mean? But the things that we're not doing well offensively and that needs to happen, especially on the road, is if we get big plays, we have to get in the end zone. On top of that, we've had so many big plays to where we get to the 5-10, get caught up, tripped out, ran out of bounds, and then our red zone play calling is horrendous. It's almost like we can't sniff the end zone. We've been there so many times to the point where we could have been in games, late in games, and possibly stolen some games that we weren't supposed to win. You know what I mean? But we can't get in the end zone and we can't execute, and we're not aggressive enough, out there, and we don't run the ball. You know what I mean? So we're putting the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands way too much, even though he's doing things great in terms of just not turnovers and making good decisions, but he's not aggressive and he doesn't want to fail. He doesn't want to fuck up. So sometimes that can hurt you as well, because you need a quarterback that's going to be aggressive, that's going to make a certain throw in a tight window. And we don't always see that from him in the red zone. So those are some of the things to where I'm looking forward to finishing a drive at some point, because it doesn't matter how good any defense is. We have proven to be able to move the ball. We didn't score against San Fran because we were going up and down the field on them, but we couldn't execute. We were getting 3 points here and there, and it really didn't work out. So, I think that's an opportunity to be had, is to actually get in the end zone after big plays, which we will get if we target your secondary. But he has to put the ball on the money, and that has been his fatal flaw throughout the season. If it hasn't been wide open, it's been kind of difficult. So other thing I'm looking forward to, though, is just getting the ball to Devonta Smith and Rager and even my man Quez Watkins, who's been balling out, who actually probably should be number 2 ahead of Rager. But, those boys have been balling out, and they're growing each and every week, where I'm seeing, Devonta, especially Devonta, these last couple of weeks, he's shown that, okay, I'm a lot better than these NFL DBs. You know what I mean? Like, he's starting to gain that confidence, and he's been snatching things all over the field, making plays after the catch. So I'm kind of looking forward to them capitalizing on that. And I know at some point he has to break a big one. So, but that's just my spiel on the offense, man. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm hoping we can get home and get in the end zone and get some confidence moving forward. So. But I'll toss it back to you as far as the Gilmore pickup, man. How do you feel about that? And does that address a concern like you spoke to earlier, as far as, I know you were speaking on the defensive and offensive line as far as making your money there, but are you all about filling in with Gilmore? Because I know you got an injury to one of your DBs that's probably going to last throughout the whole year with a broken foot.
Yeah. So I like the Gilmore pickup. I think and especially for what we gave up, I think we gave up like a 6th rounder. The only thing that I will caution is that when you look at Bill Belichick trades, when he trades big names for next to nothing, typically wherever they go next, they don't really perform like that. So it could be one of those things where, like, maybe Bill Belichick sees something that nobody else sees, and it's like, all right, you lost a step. So we may not be getting the Gilmore that we think we're getting, but I still think he's a starting caliber DB, no question. So it absolutely, fills a void that we have. Defensively, the 2 guys you want to target, if that Jalen Hurts, he wants to target, you want to target Dante Jackson. And anytime AJ Bouye is on the field, target that man. He played one of the worst games I've seen a DB play in Dallas. He was constantly out of position. He doesn't look like he knows the playbook. He was just getting beat left and right. He wasn't making tackles. So if who's ever matched up on AJ Bouye, target that man. I would caution him to stay away from CJ Henderson. I know he got beat for the touchdown, but he really didn't give up anything else, and he was right there. It's just the perfect offense is always going to beat the perfect defense because defense is reactionary. It was the perfect throw, perfect catch. He was there. So, I know our secondary is, the weak component of the defense, but yeah, definitely stay away from CJ Henderson. Dante Jackson, he's going to have his lapses. He does every game. He's so fast. He likes to rely on the speed to recover. So when he does, make him pay for it. And to speak about you guys' red zone woes, I don't think people really understand how difficult it is to score, when you're at a specific down and distance, like when you're inside the 20 or whatever, or inside the 10, because at that point, teams pretty much know what you're going to do. They can tighten up because it's just a lot less space, like you don't have these huge zones that you can just sit in. Like spatially, it's congested. So if you're trying to pass the ball or run the ball, they're just going to be more defenders around. So you guys are definitely need to cash on your big plays if you have them, because, if you get, first and 10 or first and goal at the 15, or I feel like our defense can lock up and hold you guys to field goals. So, we can lose the game if you can force Sam Darnold on the turnovers and you guys capitalize on your big plays. I'm not a fan. I hate y'all cats for real. But
I like it.
But
where's that hate come from?
Hey,
we haven't played y'all since 2018. We had two different quarterbacks. We was going in different directions. We was, looking up with the Carson Wentz. You had your man Cam Newton on his way about a year from on his way out of the door. Or no, y'all guys were a year ahead.
Y'all got the Lombardi. Y'all got the hardware. That's all that matters. Nobody I'm looked at crazy when I mention Cam Newton's name, and he's the best quarterback we've ever had. So I just feel like that's just like, a cautionary tale of wasted potential there. But I mean, I respect y'all. To my detriment, I took y'all in a teaser that I had earlier when y'all played Dallas because I didn't feel like they would run away with it. So from what I've seen, you guys haven't won games, but I like what I see, especially from a young team. Like Jalen Hurts, he's accurate. I like the fact that he uses his legs when he needs to use them. He doesn't always rely on them. The one thing is that, he needs to, like I said with Sam Darnold, take what the defense gives you. He likes to hold on to the ball a little bit too long.
Make the perfect play.
The defense. Exactly. And sometimes, the only thing is the NFL. You're not going to be able to gash even the worst defenses. You're not going to be able to gash these cats like that. So if it's 3 yards there, take 3 yards. Now you got a 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 15 or 2nd and 20 because, it's a holding penalty or you got a man down the field. You got to take what the defense gives you. A little bit more dink and dunk. Like you said, he tries to make the perfect play. So if he can be more, just stay on schedule, man, I think the sky's the limit for him. Devonta Smith, I'm really impressed. I don't really watch college football like that anymore. But from what I've seen of him at an NFL level, I'm really impressed. So, Dallas got it, tight end, playing really well.
Yeah, but I think we gotta. I'm happy to have him and Ertz, but one of the two got to go, and it's gonna be Ertz at some point. And I think we're unfortunately gonna let him go, and it might be right before he breaks Carmichael's record, which would be kind of terrible. You know what I mean? Because Carmichael's record has stood as far as wide receiving since the 80s. Like we haven't had a wide receiver break his record or receiver as far as yards since the 80s, bro. Like that just goes to show you that we give zero attention to that position. Like probably the best receiver we've had outside of Carmichael statistically or just in stature has been T.O. for that year or two. He was around. You know what I mean?
Productivity. What about Freddie Mitchell, man? The people's champ, man.
Man, look, man. Damn that, man. We had a bunch of pedestrians, even when my man McNabb, people gave McNabb a whole lot of crap throughout the years. And I'm like, yo, who did he really have as a game changer besides that T.O. the time frame.
And when you got him TL, what happened? You went to the
Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
You see what I'm saying?
It was mom's spaghetti during the Super Bowl, with the Campbell soup and everything throwing up, and you're having a hard time. But yet still, those were some career years for him. You know what I mean? So when you get the weapons, even look at Tom Brady when he got Randy Moss. Look what a novel idea. Look what happens. Look what happens when guys get help.
He only throws 50 touchdowns. Insane stuff, man. Like I don't get it, but like I said, man, y'all on the right track. It's going to be some losses and stuff, man. Yeah. But
this is a year of playing the game within the game, seeing the small incremental steps of Devonta Smith, or do we keep Jalen Reagor? Do we let him go? He was a first round pick, a year ago. Do we let him go? Does Quez Watkins take his spot? Do we look elsewhere? Do we draft for defense, which everybody's been clamoring for as far as Eagles fans, as far as the second and third layer? Two things that we do well, offensive, defensive line. We're going to have guys that come in and rotate in and out and play their position. We do well at that. But can we do that? So those are like little things. I'm looking at who we should keep, who we should get rid of, and where we should focus on, because this is going to be one of those years to where, we should be in most games, but we're too young and not as talented, to win some of the close games and not make bonehead errors. So, and that's like my last thing for this game. Can we stop leading the league in penalties? Like I was keeping the tally last game that we were playing, bro. It got to the point where I lost track. You walk away from the screen for a little bit, come back to watch the game. Two more penalties and added up, and it's like just dumb things after dumb things. And it's not just the young guys; it's the older heads too. You know what I mean? So it's like something has to happen. You know what I mean? Whether it's play calling to simplify things, because guys are just making bonehead plays, and you cannot do that in a game like in the NFL. Like you cannot do that. You cannot. We have over 40 penalties at this point. I'm sure of it, close to 45 through 4 games. That's insane.
Teams are too big. Their teams are too good, for you to beat them, and you're fighting against yourself too. You can't beat yourself, and it's kind of the same thing with Carolina. There've been drives so we lost the game in the third quarter. Third quarter was a disaster. And Coach Rule, he got to coach better, man. But, we're up by 2. We get the ball first in the third quarter. We're driving. We get on their side of the field. Couple penalties, moves us back. And, now instead of, us continuing the drive, we're attempting a career-long field goal with the kicker who's been shaky at best, and missing that kick, giving them that premium field position. It was just downhill from there. So, you definitely can't beat yourself with penalties. You got to be disciplined, but it's part of the growing pains, man. Y'all got a young coach combined with young players.
All first-time coaches in their respective positions. All first time.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster, man. So just get through the pain early and reap the benefits later, because it's an evaluation for them as well. I know a lot of cats are like, hey, is Hurts the real deal? Is your head coach the real deal? Is he somebody that you guys are going to, all right, we feel comfortable spending significant resources to get him the team that he needs, so it's a lot of stuff for y'all to shore up and prove, but, we're not as good as our 3-1 record. I'm actually glad that we kind of got exposed a little bit versus Dallas. Too many people were drinking the Sam Darnold Kool-Aid, and, while our defense is good, I was always telling cats I don't think that they were that good. We just played some really bad offenses. When we played a high-powered offense, I was disappointed in the run game. Zeke ran all over us. Pollard ran all over us. So, you guys, that might be, I know you're not known for running the football.
That's not something that we do this year. It's just something we refuse to do. Something we refuse to do.
Yeah, if Jalen Hurts is in a game where he's, throwing the ball 40, 50 times, you guys are going to lose.
He's our leading rusher. He's our leading rusher, bro. That's how bad it is. And we have 2 guys that can run the ball pretty damn well, and we just refuse to stick to that. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. But Yeah, that's one area I say every single week that we could win a game in, and we just refuse to do it. We're really, really pass happy. Only positive part of that is that, besides the Dallas game where Hurts looked, like he regressed a little bit based on things I was seeing that, I've had people hit me up, all types of fans, non-Eagles fans, even Cowboys fans, like, yo, your man looking good. He might be the quarterback of the future if he keeps this up. And ironically, looking at the numbers, he's on a pretty freaking historic pace numbers wise as far as our quarterback to be, to justify keeping him. But just the feeling I'm getting from the fans and myself is like, we don't fall in love easy, man. In Philly, we don't fall in love easy. So you got to go out there and get some dubs. Putting up numbers and us waiting for you to really arrive winning wise, that's not what we about. That's not what we about, man. We about winning games. So until he wins games, I don't think he's truly gonna win over people and the people in the front office. So that's really what I want from him, of course, as a fan. But I don't think he's gonna get the people to jump on board if he doesn't win games.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because all he can do is play his position. Like you said, you're not going to win in the NFL without running the football. I know, like to look at the running back position as if it's disposable. Like they can just plug anybody into that position and still get the same kind of production. But like you gotta be balanced. So for him to be able to do what he's doing, in an unbalanced offense with a super young team and inexperienced coaching staff, like I think you got to grade him on a curve. Like good quarterbacks are hard to come by. Look at us.
I'm trying. I'm trying to not be hard on them, but I just want to be competitive as a fan. And that's just a fan of me. That's the fan of me because people went crazy, man. Jalen Hurts jersey sales was through the roof. The first game, we thought we was going places. I held off. I began to sip the Kool-Aid. I was in the cart, almost hit send. Let me wait a little bit. Let me wait a little bit on this purchase. Let me see how this guy pans out. And he's still been putting up great numbers. Outside of that Dallas game, I have no issues with him. I just, he'll grow confidence-wise to fit the ball in those tight corners. That's my only thing with him. And being on target on the long ball. Those are my only things with him. It's just, and I think what you said earlier, take what the defense gives you and not make the perfect play, but take the play that's right in front of you. Those three things, if he could nail those in a pretty consistent pace, I would say why not? I would say why not keep him? And, to me, he has like a 2-year window because he has to do well because we don't want to draft another quarterback, especially depending on how the draft falls with Wentz, how Wentz does, whether he plays out the entire year with the Colts. If the season stopped right now, we'd have 3 picks in the top 10.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't want to do any of that with a quarterback. Like we wouldn't want to draft a quarterback, and now we need to get some playmakers, and you can get playmakers in the top 10 on all 3 levels, like I was talking about this whole pod. So, you got to root for him. Honestly, if you're a fan, you can't root for another quarterback. You got to root for him to succeed because you got to fill the team out.
It's some guys coming available too, man. I think Devontae Adams, man, for the Packers. I think he's going to be a free agent next season. And then my man Aaron Rodgers was winking at old boy on what the coach of the Steelers. Oh, Tomlin.
Yeah, he was winking at Coach Tomlin last week, and that's been like a funny point that the talking has been bringing up as far as that's possibly being a destination because we all know the Green Bay Packers are not going to trade him within the division. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Or within the NFC, they're gonna send him to a whole another conference.
Yeah,
and Big Ben is washed, so it just seems like a right destination.
Look, we could do a whole pod about how these franchises have these legendary quarterbacks and they just allow them to ruin their franchise because it's like, I know Big Ben, he's won 2 Super Bowls with them, 2 or 3, I think 2.
Yeah, just too much respect. Too much respect.
What exactly? What have you done for me lately? You can no longer play. I don't care what you did back in the day. You get cut like anybody else, and that's one thing that I admire about the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. A lot of people be getting on Bill Belichick, but he'll cut you for the bread if you about to cost a certain amount of money and you're not on the field and performing. Like, you may be worth that money, but you're not available. Case in point, Gilmore. Like, he was about to get paid. It had nothing to do with the talent. When he was on the field, he was locking shit down on his side. You didn't hit. If to me, a good cornerback, if you don't hear about him often, then that serves. He's serving his purpose because he may not be getting interceptions, but he's shutting down the entire half of a field.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Avoid him. He decided the field they don't want to test. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the real work is done. You know, it's not always flash. If you can lock down a whole side of the field, now you know your run defense is better. Now them other DBs better because they know the ball coming their way. Safeties can kind of key in on that side. Like, man, look, I ain't got to worry. He got that. He got that. I can play one half of the field. You know what I'm saying? So it makes your entire defense better. But yeah, man, like a lot of teams say that, you know, nobody's more important than the team. I think the only franchise that means it is the Patriots. Nobody even Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? Even Tom Brady. Like, I know ultimately Tom Brady decided to leave, but still, you know, Belichick was like, hey, man, you know, it might be time to move on from you. And that's nuts to me. That is insane to me. I don't like Tom Brady like that because, you know, they beat us back in 2003, but that's neither here nor there. But still, you know,
you said 2003 God damn.
I'm never letting it go, bro. I'm never letting it go. I'm never letting it go. But yeah, man, like, you know, it's just wild to me, man, because the Steelers are a good team. They got good skill position players. They got a good defense. They just have a bad quarterback. They even got a good O-line. You know, it's just like Ben literally can't move anymore. So for them to allow him to drag that franchise down, the Giants kind of did it with Eli.
You can't cut him you can't cut him during the season because he's done so much for your franchise on the field. You can't cut him during the season, but if you want to make the playoffs and you can win their division because nobody's running away with their division. I mean, you got the Browns who are
the Bengals. The Bengals are top of that division. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a crazy league.
Wide open.
It's wide open, and those
open.
Guys, man, that boy Chase. Oh man, he's playing phenomenal. But yeah, the Bengals at the top of the division. You got the Browns who seem to be they're going to be there with all the damn weapons that they have. They just have a plethora of options. You know, an embarrassment of riches to where it's like, damn. You know what I mean? People thinking that having OBJ back is a bad thing, you know what I mean? So, and about damn near 31 other teams would love to have him on their roster, you know what I mean? So they have an embarrassment of riches. But back to my point about, you know, the AFC and the Steelers, you know, you never know, man. Without Big Ben, you never know where they can go with a quarterback that actually can move, can get out there. Like, he's just making bad decisions. He's like a step or two slow with everything he does. So, yeah, it's just one of the things I'm not really looking forward to, you know, as far as, you know, Big Ben, you know, with the Steelers fans, because I like that franchise. I have a lot of respect for that franchise. They're in PA as well. So, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see if they cut them in the middle of the season and try to go for a playoff berth versus just letting them trot out there and giving them that praise to go out on.
Holler at my guy Cam. Hey, they need to holler at my guy Cam Newton, man. Hey, bring him in.
Can't be worse. It couldn't be worse.
Definitely can't be worse. Definitely can't be worse, man. But so hey, what's your score prediction for Sunday, man?
That's what I was about to get to. Score prediction for Sunday is 28-24 Eagles. I don't think we can, you know, stop a leaky faucet. So, you know, it should be probably higher than that, but I think we should be able to go back and forth with you. I think we finally get a turnover or two, you know what I mean? Because I think we'll get home to Sam Darnold, and this is probably the first quarterback that doesn't have, I won't say he doesn't have the wheels with the rushing touchdowns, you know, that he has, but I'm just saying that I think we could get home with him a lot easier than the quarterbacks that we face. So, yeah, 28-24. I've already said what I'm worried about as far as the defense and our O-line being down quite a few starters. But, yeah, I'm looking to get back on track. I think the spread is, 3? So it's a pretty close spread there. So, you know, who knows, man? This game can go either way. 1-3, 3-1. But I just feel like, you know, we're right there with you guys. It's just that you guys are winning the games that you're supposed to win. So, well, what about your predictions?
So I got us winning 24-17. Think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Not Vegas, obviously, you know, but just like the sentiment, I think among people and fans is like, hey, you know, it's definitely a game that we should win, but I think y'all can capitalize in some areas that we're weak in to keep the score close. And also, man, like our kicking game is a huge question mark. So if we don't finish drives and we're kicking like 40-yard field goals and stuff, I'm not confident that, you know, our kicking can just step up and make those, you know. So I envision our kicker at least missing one field goal, giving y'all a short field, and y'all coming back down for a score. So I like 24-17 Panthers.
There you go. So you got 28-24. You know, with Kash here, you know what I mean? So you got 24-17? What you said, 24-20? Mm-hmm. 24-17 Panthers. 24-17.
Try to add 3 points on.
Hey, man, you know, I'm just trying to see what you doing with the spread, man. You know, I'm filling mine out as we speak, man. But with that said, man, James, thanks for stopping by, hopping on with us, man, and truly appreciate it, man. I wish you not all the best this Sunday. I wish you're screaming at your TV, cussing your quarterback out. I don't wish you no good things this weekend. But you know, I'll text you, man. Maybe I'm sipping on something pretty good and coasting about the third quarter on all the turnovers Sam Darnold is doing. But nah, man. But thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, man. And you know, the sentiment is mutual, man. The feeling is mutual.
For sure. Hey, so with that said, people, look, make sure you follow Don't Sleep _net on Twitter and Instagram if you just want to see some more content from us. We also have a ton of podcasts out. Don't Sleep on the Raiders as well. We also have Don't Sleep on the Couch, where we talk about music and sports. We have artists such as James, and I'll let him plug his stuff right before we get out of here. So like I said, Don't Sleep _net. We have plenty of things out there for you guys to check out as far as content goes. We drop weekly podcasts, probably up to 5-6 podcasts a week, respectively. So yeah, check us out. Every Tuesday we drop. Every Monday on the Don't Sleep on the Eagles and Don't Sleep on the Raiders we drop. So we got a lot of things coming. So make sure y'all subscribe, leave comments if you can, and you know, just tell a friend and tell a friend. But James, take me out, man. Where can they find you? Where can they find your music? We haven't even gotten on that. You know what I mean? But we're going to get into that on Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. But where can they find you, man?
Okay, man. I'm on Twitter, man. James Split Flames at twitter.com. You know, just put out a crazy EP with the homie Kill called The First 48. It's on my Bandcamp, you know, James Spit Flames at bandcamp.com. Also, you know, we launched a website, outliers252.com, man. Like, I really want that to be like the central hub where people can, you know, figure out what's going on with me, what I got going on musically and stuff. So check us out up there, man. We got, you know, merch is coming, but we got a blog up there, man. You know, check it out. Listen to some dope cats you probably never heard of before. And, you know, just try to grow this thing organically, man. Keep it moving.
For sure. So once again, this is Don't Sleep on the Eagles. I'm Kash. Like, share, subscribe. Go follow James. Go follow the music. We going to have him on Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. So if you want to subscribe to Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast and you want to hear all about the EP and what he has moving forward, we're going to get into the music on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So y'all check us out, man. But with that said, man, we out.